Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. You know we love getting into the nitty-gritty of personal finance.
Yes, definitely.
And today, well, we're thinking long-term.
The future.
Yeah, exactly. Retirement planning.
That's right.
We're going to be diving deep into an article from DigyKeys, all about their digital budget planner.
Cool.
Now, even if you're not jumping to use their tool right away, we're really going to break down the core principles of making a solid retirement budget.
Yes, making sure you were financially stable later on.
Yeah, and, enjoying those golden years, right?
Exactly. I love how this DigyKeys article kind of reframes what retirement planning is all about. It's not just about saving money, which is obviously important.
Right.
It's more about actively managing all your money stuff.
Yeah.
Your income and expenses for the long haul.
I like that it's like you're building a foundation.
Yeah. For that next chapter.
And they do highlight this stat that I think is really important.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
The average retired household spends something like $50,000 per year.
Wow.
So that really hits home why planning is so crucial.
Yeah. If you don't plan ahead, it's really easy to overspend.
Yeah, you don't want to be caught short later on when you need it.
Exactly. And it's important to note that $50,000 doesn't include healthcare.
Oh.
And as we age, those costs just go up and up.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense why a retirement budget planner can be such a useful tool.
Definitely.
But what should we even be looking for?
Well, a good planner will be like your financial detective,
Okay.
helping you break down every single expense.
Be granular.
Yes. Detailed categorization, fixed expenses like your housing, and those bills that are always the same versus variable cost.
The fun stuff.
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Like vacations or dinners out.
Right, so it's not just about seeing where your money's going.
Right.
It's about being able to adjust your spending based on what types of expenses they are.
Exactly. It gives you so much more control.
That makes a lot of sense. So what else should we be looking for in a planner?
It should also be like a master forecaster, helping you project your retirement income from every single source, not just your savings.
Right.
Think Social Security, pensions, annuities.
No?
Maybe even part-time work if you're thinking of staying active.
Right, get the full picture.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of projections, I hear a lot about this 4% rule.
Oh, yeah.
For how much you can safely withdraw every year from your savings.
Right.
Is that something that our listeners should really be paying attention to?
It's a good guideline for sure, but I'd say approach it with caution.
Okay.
Because, that 4% assumes a steady rate of return on your investments and the market. Well, we know it doesn't always play nice.
Yeah.
It can fluctuate like crazy.
Right.
And that can impact how long your savings will actually last.
So it's not a magic number. It's more like a starting point.
Exactly.
Okay. What about other tools or resources that people can use?
Yeah.
What if they want something more personalized?
Fidelity and AARP have these really awesome retirement calculators online.
Cool.
That consider your expenses and factor in things like inflation, even life expectancy.
Oh, wow.
So they can be really useful.
That's really helpful to know. So DigyKeys mentions another number in their article that got me thinking.
Okay.
The average retirement savings for people 55 to 64 is like $537,560.
Wow, that's a big number.
Is that enough? Should our listeners be aiming for that number?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right.
It really depends on what you want your retirement to look like.
Yeah.
Are you going to be traveling the world or downsizing your house, maybe picking up some expensive hobbies?
Yeah.
All of that plays a huge role in how much you'll actually need.
Right. So it's not just about hitting a target number.
Right.
It's about aligning your finances with the retirement you actually want to have.
Exactly. And on top of that,
Yeah.
that $537,000 figure doesn't even include healthcare.
Oh, right.
And Fidelity estimates that, let's say, a 65-year-old couple could need an extra $330,000 just for healthcare and retirement.
Wow.
It's a big expense.
That puts things into perspective for sure.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've talked about why a retirement budget planner is so essential.
Yes.
We've talked about those features to look for, but how do we actually use it
Right.
to create a budget? What are the steps?
So whether you're using the DigyKeys planner or another tool, the basics are pretty much the same.
Okay.
Start by gathering all your income sources,
Oh.
everything from Social Security to that side hustle you've been thinking about.
Hey.
And then you really got to get granular with your expenses, break them down into two main categories, essentials and discretionary spending.
So needs versus wants.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And DigyKeys, they suggest this 50-30-20 rule.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, 50% for your essentials,
Mm-hmm.
30% for those fun discretionary wants,
Yeah.
and then 20% for savings.
Okay, that's a good framework.
Right, but it's just a guideline, not a rigid rule. You might need to adjust those percentages based on, your own situation. Like if you have higher medical expenses, you might need to bump up that essentials category.
That makes sense. So flexibility is really key.
Absolutely.
And there are so many tools out there.
I know, it's amazing.
From the DigyKeys planner to those classic spreadsheets and all kinds of budgeting apps.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
There's something for everyone.
Right?
Like if you're really tech savvy, you can try apps like Mint or YA Bag.
Okay.
They'll do a lot of the tracking and analysis for you.
Cool.
But if you prefer a more hands-on approach, you can always create your own budget using Excel or Google Sheets.
I like that flexibility.
Yeah.
But what about folks who have more complex financial situations?
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just feeling totally overwhelmed by the whole process.
That's where a financial expert can be really valuable.
Okay.
A certified financial planner or a CFP can give you personalized advice and help you create a plan that really tackles your specific needs and goals.
That's great.
They're a fantastic resource.
So we've got our budget. We've got our tools.
Yes.
Can we just set it and forget it now?
Oh, definitely not.
Okay.
Monitoring and adjusting your budget, especially in retirement, is so important.
Okay.
Because unexpected expenses, they always have a way of popping up.
Right.
So you have to stay agile and adapt to those curveballs.
So it's an ongoing process. Like, what are some things to watch out for as we move through retirement? What are those red flags?
Well, first, you really got to be mindful of your spending habits.
Okay.
Track where your money's going.
Yeah.
Make sure you're actually sticking to your plan because life, it throws curveballs, right? Your priorities might shift. Maybe you'll pick up a new hobby.
Yeah.
All of that impacts your expenses, so your budget has to reflect that.
So it's all about staying flexible.
Yes.
But what about changes on the income side?
Yeah.
What if things aren't going quite as planned?
That's where careful monitoring comes in.
Yeah.
Maybe your investments aren't performing the way you'd hoped.
Right.
Or you need to take another look at your Social Security withdrawal strategy.
Okay.
Being aware of those fluctuations lets you adjust and make really informed decisions.
So we've got tracking expenses.
Yes.
We've got adapting to income changes. And DigyKeys really stresses the importance of that emergency fund.
Oh, absolutely. Having that safety net is crucial.
Okay.
They recommend stashing away enough to cover at least 6 months of essential expenses.
Okay.
Now, I know that might sound like a lot.
Yeah.
But it's a lifesaver when those unexpected costs come up.
Right. It's like your financial buffer.
Exactly. Your peace of mind. Knowing you can handle those things without totally derailing your retirement plan.
It's like a sudden medical bill or a major home repair. Those things can really set you back.
Exactly. That emergency fund is there to protect you.
Okay, so tracking expenses, adapting to income changes, and that emergency fund. Any other tips that our listeners should keep in mind?
Regular checkups are key.
For your finances.
Yeah. Think of it like going to the doctor, but for your money.
Okay.
DigyKeys suggests reviewing your budget at least once a year, if not quarterly.
Okay.
This lets you see if your plan is still working, if it's aligned with your goals.
Right.
And make adjustments as needed.
Like tending a garden, right?
I love that.
You got to nurture it.
Yes. Retirement planning needs that ongoing care and attention.
It's not a one-time thing.
Exactly.
And speaking of adapting,
Yeah.
DigyKeys brings up another important point.
Yeah.
Long-term care needs.
Right. Something people often overlook.
But it can have such a huge impact on finances.
Definitely. The cost can be significant.
Yeah.
So it's really wise to explore those options early.
Go.
Do you have family support? Will you need in-home care? Assisted living? These are tough questions.
Yeah.
But thinking about them now can save you a lot of stress and financial heartache later.
Are there any resources out there that can help people kind of estimate those costs and figure out how to plan for them?
Yeah, for sure. The government has a great website all about long-term care.
Oh, cool.
It breaks down the different types of care, provides cost estimates, and outlines different ways to pay for those services.
Awesome. That's really helpful.
Definitely worth checking out.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about creating a retirement budget, those must-have planner features, strategies for managing all your money, and even long-term care.
Right.
It's a lot to digest.
It is.
But it's also valuable for anyone who's approaching retirement.
It really is. But remember, you have to go through this alone.
Yeah.
There are fantastic resources and tools to help you every step of the way.
Exactly. Whether you like those digital apps or trusty old spreadsheets, or maybe you want to work with a financial advisor.
Yeah,
There's a solution out there for you.
exactly.
It's about finding what works for you and taking control of your retirement planning.
Absolutely. What matters most is just taking that first step. Even a small action can get you on the path to a more secure and fulfilling retirement.
I love that. And one thing I really appreciate about this DigyKeys article is that it's not just about the numbers. They really encourage readers to think about what a truly fulfilling retirement looks like.
Oh, I love that.
It's more than just the financial piece.
Yeah.
It's about having that freedom to pursue your passions and spend time with loved ones.
It's about living your best life, right? And having the time and resources to do the things that bring you joy.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into retirement planning with DigyKeys,
Okay.
here's a thought for our listeners.
Yeah.
What does a fulfilling retirement look like to you?
Good question.
Let that vision guide you as you embark on your financial planning journey.
Yeah, because it's all about creating a future that you're genuinely excited about.
Right, it's your future.
It is. And you deserve to enjoy it.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of the groundwork, the planning, those essential steps. But what about those of us who maybe haven't been as diligent with saving as we'd hoped?
Right.
Is it too late to get on track?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good.
Even if you're starting a bit later, consistent contributions and a solid plan can make a world of difference.
So it's never too late.
Never. It's never too late to take control of your financial future and work towards that comfortable retirement.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, it can feel overwhelming,
It can.
but taking those small steps can have a huge impact over time.
Okay, so start by assessing where you are.
Yes.
Set some clear goals.
And remember, there are so many resources out there to help you.
That's right.
From online calculators to financial advisors who can provide personalized guidance.
So it's all about taking that first step.
Exactly. And remember, it's your journey.
Yeah.
You're in control.
And I think that's a great place to wrap up this part of our conversation.
Yeah, I think so too.
We've covered a lot of ground, but we've just scratched the surface of retirement planning.
Right. There's always more to learn.
Stay tuned, because in the next part, we're going to delve deeper into some specific strategies for building a retirement budget that works for you.
Yes. And we'll share some tips on how to stay motivated and on track even when things get a little tough.
Sounds good. So until then, happy planning, everyone.
Happy planning. Think of your budget as like a living document you know.
Okay.
It's not something you just set and forget.
Right. Especially in retirement.
Exactly. Things change.
Yeah.
Unexpected costs pop up. Got to be ready to adjust.
So it's an ongoing process. What are some key things to keep an eye on as we're moving through retirement? What are those red flags?
Well, first off, really got to be mindful of those spending habits.
Okay.
Track where your money is going. Make sure you're actually sticking to your plan life. Well, it throws curveballs, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Your priorities might change. Maybe you'll pick up a new hobby.
Yeah, you never know.
Exactly. And all that impacts your expenses.
Right.
So your budget has to reflect that.
Okay, so it's about staying flexible.
Absolutely.
But what about those changes on the income side?
Yeah.
What if things aren't going as well as you thought they would?
That's where that careful monitoring comes in.
Okay.
You know, maybe your investments aren't performing the way you hoped.
Right.
Or maybe you need to, revisit your Social Security withdrawal strategy.
Okay.
Just being aware of those fluctuations, it helps you adjust and make better decisions.
Yeah, it's all about being informed.
Exactly.
So we've got tracking expenses, we've got adapting to income changes, and DigyKeys really stressed having a good emergency fund.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That safety net, it's crucial.
Okay.
They recommend saving enough to cover at least 6 months of essential expenses.
6 months.
Yeah, I know it sounds like a lot.
Yeah, that's a big chunk.
It is, but trust me, it's a lifesaver when those unexpected costs hit.
Right. It's like that financial buffer.
Exactly. Peace of mind, knowing you can handle those bumps in the road without totally throwing your retirement plan off track.
Like a sudden medical bill or a major home repair, those can really set you back.
Absolutely. That emergency fund is there to protect you.
So tracking expenses, adapting to income changes, that emergency fund. What other tips should our listeners keep in mind as they go through retirement?
Well, I think regular checkups are super important.
Okay.
It's like going to the doctor, but for your finances.
I like that analogy.
DigyKeys suggests reviewing your budget at least once a year, if not quarterly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This gives you a chance to see if your plan is still working for you. Is it still aligned with your goals?
Right, because things change.
Exactly. And you might need to make adjustments.
Like tending a garden, right?
Yes, exactly.
You plant the seeds, you nurture them, and as things change, you got to adapt.
Love it. Retirement planning definitely needs that same kind of ongoing care and attention.
It's not a one-time thing.
Nope, not at all.
Speaking of adapting, DigyKeys brought up another important point. Long-term care needs.
Right, something people often overlook.
Yeah.
But it can have a huge impact on your retirement finances.
Definitely. The costs can be a lot.
They really can be, so it's wise to explore those options early on.
Okay.
Do you have family support? Will you need in-home care or assisted living?
Yeah, those are tough questions.
They are tough questions, but thinking about them now can save you a lot of stress later.
Okay, are there any resources out there that can help people figure out those costs?
Yeah.
I mean, it can feel overwhelming to even know where to start.
Oh, for sure. The government has this great website all about long-term care.
Okay.
It breaks down different types of care, provides cost estimates, outlines ways to pay for those services.
Awesome. That's really helpful.
It is. It's definitely worth checking out.
Okay, so we've covered a lot.
We have.
Creating a retirement budget, features to look for in a planner, strategies for managing income and expenses, even those long-term care needs.
It's a lot.
It is, but it's valuable for anyone thinking about retirement.
It really is, but remember, you don't have to go through this alone.
Yeah, for sure.
There are tons of tools and resources out there to support you.
Exactly. Whether you like those digital apps, spreadsheets, or maybe you want to work with a financial advisor.
It's all about finding what works best for you and then taking control of your retirement planning.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that really stood out to me in this DigyKeys article was how they emphasize starting early.
Yes, the power of compound interest, it's a real thing.
Time is on your side.
Exactly. The sooner you start saving, the more time your money has to grow.
But what about those of us who maybe we haven't been as diligent with our savings?
Right.
Is it too late to get on track?
Absolutely not.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Even if you're starting later, consistent contributions and a solid plan, those can make a world of difference.
So it's never too late.
Never. It's never too late to take control of your financial future and work towards a comfortable retirement.
That's reassuring, because it's easy to feel overwhelmed.
It can be, definitely.
But it sounds like taking those initial steps, even if they're small, can have a big impact over time.
Absolutely. Just start by figuring out where you are financially. Set some goals, some clear, achievable goals.
Right.
And remember, there are tons of resources out there to help.
Yeah, like those calculators.
Exactly. Calculators, financial advisors. You don't have to do this alone.
And one thing I really liked about this DigyKeys article is that it's not just about crunching numbers. They actually encourage you to think about what a fulfilling retirement really looks like.
Yeah, I love that.
Beyond the finances.
Yes, it's about so much more than just having money in the bank.
It's about freedom. Right?
Yeah, freedom to pursue your passions, spend time with your loved ones, just create a life that you enjoy.
Living your best life.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into retirement planning with DigyKeys,
Okay.
here's a final thought for our listeners.
Yeah, what's that?
What does a fulfilling retirement look like to you? Let that vision be your guide as you start planning your financial future.
That's a great point, because ultimately it's about creating a future that you're excited about.
Yeah, it's your future.
It is, and you deserve to enjoy it.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive.
Sounds good.
We've covered a ton of ground.
We have.
But remember, this is just the beginning of your retirement planning journey.
It is the first step.
There's always more to learn and explore, so keep researching, keep asking questions.
Yes. And don't be afraid to reach out for help if you need it.
Absolutely. And most importantly, don't wait to start planning for your future.
The sooner the better.
That's right. Start today and set yourself up for a successful and fulfilling retirement.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll catch you next time.